Welcome to BuildRSA. Today we have a very special feature of sovereign Africa ratings, and I can't wait to get into it. We have Dr. Falala and Miss Portia Rabuhali. It's amazing, so let's just get right into it. Thank you so much for coming through, Ms. Rabuhali and Doc.
Thank you.
So what would you say is the significance of SAR?
Thank you. SAR, South African Sovereign Africa Rating, is the very first sovereign credit rating agency in the continent of Africa.
Okay.
That is something that has never been done before. It's highly regulated industry, mostly played by the big three, and it's such a breakthrough for the continent as a whole to have a home-based rating agency that is coming from Africa.
So you mentioned that it's the first ratings agency. So what sets the agency apart?
I think you need to understand that when you talk about credit ratings, you're talking about the fiscus, the money of the world and the money of the country. Because ratings give the investors confidence to invest in South Africa and on the continent in general. And we've always felt, I think in general, the continent feels that when it's rated, the ratings have been fairly subjective. And to a large extent, they've done a disservice to the creditworthiness of South Africa and African countries. So we did our research and we came up with a methodology that is quite sound, that competes directly with the ratings that we are used to seeing in our financial publications that we read and that we're used to dealing with as far as the Reserve Bank is concerned and the different banks are concerned. So it's very significant that there's an African player that can cut through the subjectivity and focus more on the objective financial assets of this country, which include the labor, which include the resources, the minerals, but also the people that are hardworking and quite diligent in what they do.
So if you can put it in words of what does SAR really do and how does it do what it does?
Yeah, so we collect financially related data, and the model itself that we use is multidimensional. It includes dimensions that look at not just the record of us repaying the debts that we own and the current value of government bonds, but other ancillary features and attributes such as, for instance, institutions and general governance around the country, the vibrancy and productivity of various industries. It's in looking at the variances that occur in the data related to the financial outcomes and financial outputs that one is able to assess the extent to which financial outputs are being exploited for the benefit of the country in such a way that it is able to honor its obligations and pay credit. So that's how we do it. It's multi-dimensional.
Okay, and then after looking at all of the data and getting feedback from that, what is your view of our economy right now? What would you say is the interest or the opportunities and the threats? Sorry.
Okay, if you look at what is actually happening in South Africa, and it's not an exception to also the world, the economy of the country, economy of the world is going through major challenges. And one of the three unique challenges of South Africa is our high unemployment rate, specifically yes, among the youth. It is gone high, our high debt, and also looking at poverty, which is still something that is of a big challenge in this country, and inequalities. However, there are also good things, in the country that we have. We've got so much natural resources in this country. We've got a stable legal system that works.
Okay.
We got transport system that works compared to the rest of Africa. And those are the plus in the midst of all the crises that we have. And I think that if we can get it right on those three challenges that we are facing as South Africa, we could well see the economy of South Africa, having a turnaround.
Yes.
Yes.
So what is needed to improve economic growth in South Africa?
I think one of our biggest challenges, is how our public finance is managed. We need to get that right, especially in our SOEs. If you look at the challenges we are having at Eskom and many others public sectors.
Yes.
And also, I think, stimulating the growth through SMEs to create that employment that is very much needed in these countries. I think there are certain things that we can look into in terms of tax breaks on SMEs, and just to make sure that the SMEs are growing and also solving the issue of unemployment. We have to also, look at attracting investment in the country as well. So it's one of the things that we can also look at. And also, perhaps, solving our energy crisis, having, alternative ways of energy, wherein we can meet the demands of energy in this country.
Okay. So you highlighted a lot of things about challenges that we're facing. So what role can the SAR play in catalyzing economic growth?
Now, I think this is one of the areas where we feel that having a homegrown sovereign rating agency is significant, because we seek to engage with various players in government and the private sector and state-owned enterprises to look at how we can find unique solutions. Portia has referred to the energy crisis. Sustainable energy, for instance, the implementation thereof, and the role that independent power producers can play. I think it is in engaging on why the ratings are the way that they are. We are far from the ideal rating that we would like to have. According to our most recent rating, we rated South Africa at BBB+. And that's a positive rating, but if you look at the resources that South Africa has, there's a disproportionate relationship between those resources and what the country is capable of. And again, if you look at our GDP of $450 billion, and you look at the potential for us to cut through the threshold of, say, $1 trillion, we are far from achieving that threshold. So what we need is engagement, and particularly to have an outward-looking perspective rather than always being inward, and to have a policy policies where within government there are specific targets. For instance, GDP at a provincial level. So SAR would like to engage, and we are in the process of trying to engage with various players that can influence more rapid economic growth.
And also, just to add to what Dr. Falala said, is that I think SAR is well positioned in the fact that we are here in the continent. And whatever that is happening, we have a first-hand experience of the impact that it does to the country. So we are in a position to even understand the challenges that the rating outcome can present, what it means to a local citizen, what it means to a youth, what it means to unemployment. So we are in a better position to be able to actually translate what the ratings mean to the economy of South Africa. And even the outcome, the solutions of what needs to happen, we in a position that we understand the impact.
So with SAR being the first rating agency in Africa, where do you see it in the upcoming years?
I'm very optimistic. I'm very optimistic. I really see SAR, competing with the world best rating agencies.
Yes.
For so long, there has really not been any competitor in that space.
Yeah.
And I think SAR is very well positioned, well prepared to play in those roles.
And then finally, what role can SAR play in the continent and in emerging markets?
Well, our problems on the continent are related. And if you look at, for instance, a country like Ghana and all the advances they're making in the tech space, and you look at a country like Kenya as well, quite a lot of changes that are happening within the digital technology space in that country. And Africa generally, we are seeing quite a lot of movement, especially in the Francophone countries, where they're beginning to question their relationship with France. And our experience as a continent throughout has been that we've been receiving degenerative ratings. What do I mean by that? The ratings we've been receiving do not help the economies. You receive them, it's almost like taking a suicide drug. So when you get those ratings, things get worse and worse and worse. And SAR is well positioned on the continent to offer ratings that can stimulate and catalyze change and help instigate governments to, and business as well, to participate in a process where Africa's fortunes can be reversed. And we are working within the BRICS market with the global ratings methodology or standard that we are adopting as well for BRICS countries. So our operations are not just limited to the continent of Africa, but we are extending our operations also to the developing world and emerging markets in general. So we're quite optimistic about that, and even more optimistic that we can make a difference here at home.
Yes, just to add to what Dr. Falala said, all these countries, your BRICS country, the emerging markets, there's so much potential, unrealized potential within these countries. And I think what SAR aims to also achieve is to make a unbiased, fair rating, that will describe the activities, the reform that these countries have made towards stabilizing their economy as well. So to get that fresh outlook of what is really happening within these sovereign countries, I think that's one of the significant, role that SAR will look to play. That our ratings will be very unbiased and fair, but at the same time well supported by reliable data and of highest quality and standards.
Okay. Thank you, Ms. Portia and Doc. Thank you for such knowledgeable and insightful information. Please hop on into our website. What do you think about the topic today? Leave your thoughts. We'll be very happy to hear them. Thank you guys for coming through. My name is Andiswa Ndlovu, your host. Thank you.